This is Kevin Van Hentenryck, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. And if you lift the lid of the basket, you die.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I am Nasty Neil.
This is Annabelle Lecter.
Yes, and we're very proud to be joined by the very talented Tom Noonan. How you doing?
Keep the crowds back.
Yes. There are big crowds here. They're gathering up. It's really an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. You've been in a million movies, but we did want to talk about some Manhunter. Were you familiar with the novels before you took the role?
No. They gave me the novel to look at. I read like 2 pages, and I thought reading this is going to make me not feel good about myself.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't read it at all before you auditioned or anything?
No. I don't prepare for auditions.
Okay.
Why do you not prepare for auditions? How does that help you versus, like you said, maybe you'd get a little self-conscious reading too much of the book? So what is it going in?
No, I never said that. You're putting words in my mouth.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
That's okay. No, if you're playing somebody who people think is sort of a terrible person and sort of a monster, it's very difficult to go and be like a human being when everybody thinks you're a monster.
Well, that's one of the impressive things I found about Manhunter is that I actually like that character and feel very bad for him, even though he does terrible things. I feel like he's very endearing.
I only do a couple terrible things, I really didn't do that many things.
You tried. I think the character just tries so hard to just be loved, and I feel like that really comes through in the film, and it's tragic that this guy ended up the way he was.
Yeah, and the reason I don't prepare for auditions very much, or prepare when I do movies very much, really, in a way that people generally consider normal, is that, it's me. That's what you get when you hire me to be in a movie, or that's what you get when you go to see a movie, is you get to see me.
Yeah. Not
me pretending to be somebody else, or me trying to seem like I have thoughts like somebody else. I'm just me.
Having been in so many films, that I would think at times directors would kind of push you to be one way or the other. Have you
Nobody
had problems with that?
Me. Nobody talks to me.
They just let you do your thing?
Nobody says nothing to me.
Oh, good.
Is that by choice? Or do you think it's your personality? Or
I think I'm good at what I do, and people like what I do, and I don't think they want to fuck around with that too much, because I'm pretty good in the narrow range of what I'm good at, and directors have enough stuff on their minds on a set without trying to fuck up an actor who they already know is interesting. Mm-hmm. I also give off a vibe that I'm not really interested in talking about anything. If someone tries to talk to me, I'll talk to them, but I really don't talk much. Mm-hmm. Sort of go to my camper, they bring me out, they tell me where I move, and I do my shit.
So how did the audition go when you're... I assume you auditioned for Manhunter.
Yes, I did. That was back when I was a nobody. Now I'm sort of a semi-nobody. Well, I've told this story 10,000 times, but I'll tell it again if you want to hear.
10,000. Yeah, because I think a lot of the people in the audience probably don't necessarily know. Even if they watch your films and they're familiar with who you are, they might not know the story. So that would be great.
So I'm sort of a nobody at this point. I've done maybe a couple little things in movies. And I get a call to do this, to read for this, and I read a couple pages of the script, and I think, geez, I don't want to do this. This is really, upsetting. Mm-hmm. But I thought, why not? I'm not getting any other work. So I go in and I wait. They brought me in, I think my appointment was for 10:30, and it's now almost noon, and they're bringing all these people in ahead of me, and I'm not getting seen, and I'm getting pretty fucking pissed off. Mm-hmm. And they're bringing in a lot of people from the Steppenwolf company. I think Michael Mann, I'm making this up, but I think he wanted to use all Steppenwolf people.
Okay.
So I wasn't a Steppenwolf person, so I'm just sort of a non-person. So finally, an hour and a half late, they decide to bring me in. So I come into the room, and it's Michael and some casting person. And Michael starts to talk to me, and I say, listen, I'm not talking. I'm going to read, and then I'm going to leave. Okay? And Michael, who's usually you don't want to do that to Michael, which I've learned over time, is that he's not someone you really fuck around with too much, because he's a tough guy. He was cool with that. So I sat down, and I very quietly started to read with this woman who had never read much with people. She had been a casting assistant, and now I think she never read much with people. So somehow she was really frightened of me, even though I was speaking very quietly. And the the longer the scene went, the more frightened she got, which felt pretty good. And then I could feel Michael moving around in the room, watching me, which I also knew was a good sign because he was interested in what I was doing. And I really don't remember. I just remember feeling really angry going in there. And then the words were pretty good in that movie. So he read, and I could tell he dug it. And he started to talk to me. And I say, I told you when I came in, I'm reading and I'm leaving. And I got up and I walked out while he was trying to talk to me.
So he was literally, words were coming out of his mouth and you were going out the door.
Yeah, basically. I've done that not a few times. So, I mean, I'm sort of making this sound like I'm a real tough guy. I'm not. I sort of love to do what I do, and I just sort of want to do it the way I want to do it, and you take it or leave it. So. Yeah. I get out on the street, and I think I called my agent. The agent said, "Oh, they just called. They're really interested." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you got to go back and talk to Michael." I said, I'm not talking to him. I told him I'm coming in, I'm reading, and that's it. He said, "You can't do that. You've never done anything. You got to go back and talk to him." I said, "Okay. I'll go back. I'll answer one question." Now, again, I'm broke. I've never really done much, and this is like a great part for a great director, and I'm like acting like this. But somehow I felt it was the right thing to do. So I went back, and I came in, and it was just him this time. And I sat down, and he said, "Okay, how did you do what you just did?" When I was in there before. And I said, "Well, and I sort of just made this up. I don't know if this is really true. I said, the most frightening people are the people that are the most scared themselves. Someone who's really, really fucking terrified is really scary because they're unpredictable and they could do sort of anything, and it sort of inhabits their entire being." And he said, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Great." And I got up and left. And like 2 days later, they offered me the job.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, he loved the performance. As you said, he was walking around and observing you. Do you feel like that your personality and how you interacted with him through this, that helped you land this role?
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't like you can't contrive to go in and act the way I did.
Yeah.
It just sort of happened, and I went with it. And he was very cool and sort of saw that it was authentic, or maybe, I don't know, God knows what he was thinking, but I think he thought it was authentic, and he went with it too, and it sort of became this other thing. And whenever we were when we were shooting, he rarely ever said anything to me when we were shooting. And he's not a reticent guy. Mm-hmm. But every once in a while, if there was anything that he felt needed to be brought closer to what he was looking for, he would just come to me and say, "Francis, don't forget the audition." And that's pretty much what I remember him ever saying to me.
Mm-hmm. So everyone called you Francis on set?
Yeah, that's another thing that, when Michael sort of insisted that everybody call me by my character's name, and then he went to me and said, do you want me to do anything else that would sort of help you do this? And I said, it would be great if I never have to meet anybody who's trying to kill me or I'm trying to kill. I don't want to meet any of the other actors. Mm-hmm. And I really don't want to talk to anybody. So if people just leave me alone and I don't have to talk to the other actors, I'm great. Mm-hmm. So this memo goes out the next day where Michael says, no one's to talk to Tom, ever. Never. For any reason. And so the only people that were allowed to talk to me was the first AD and one of the makeup guys. And so I was like this sort of mysterious figure that no one talked to. And when I walked around the studio or the set, wherever we were, they had a PA that one would walk in front of me about 20 feet and one would walk about 20 feet behind me, making sure that nobody came near me or tried to talk to me.
Mm-hmm. So it really built up the effect of this guy is not only playing this strange character, but this presence that he has as an actor is
I don't
kind of off-putting, I would think.
I don't think it made much difference. I sort of dug this part, and it was fun to do, but it sort of created a lot of atmosphere on the set. People were nervous around me, and they were afraid, like, if I look at him, am I going to get fired? Mm-hmm. And I also played music on headphones, which at the time was not. I think Walkman were just getting popular. I don't know, and I would just blare music and walk around, and I don't know.
What kind of music would you play? I'm really curious because you're walking around, you're trying to get in your space as an actor. What would you listen to?
There's a Keith Jarrett album called Bremen Lausanne, which is live concerts from Germany back in like 1971 or 72. They're amazing. And they're just very, very, very sad.
Mm.
Listen to a lot of sad stuff, or Van Halen, Jeff Beck, but a lot of sad classical stuff.
You said you don't know if it was true or not, but you said about the line to act scary, you have to be really scared. Were you scared, or were you thinking like the character himself is scared?
There is no character. Character is a contrivance that people tend to think is true, but it's not. There's no such thing as a character. I'm just me.
You just
and everybody's scared all the time, and nobody really wants to talk about it. But everybody's terrified, and everybody's had terrifying experiences in their life, no matter how well they were brought up or how nice their family was. Most people have been scared out of them, which is why people like horror movies.
Do you yourself like horror movies?
I used to, but there's not much. There's things now that do scare me a little bit. From the 80s on, there was very little that got me at all. I loved like Dracula with Bela Lugosi, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, things from the 50s and 60s scared me a little bit. Don't Look Now, it's pretty scary. But all this shit and guys with masks on, and I Knew You Did Last Summer. I don't know. It's just sort of stupid. I don't know. I don't know. They don't make sense, and the people are not very likable, and it's not human to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's definitely. We were talking with someone earlier about how different films are and how everything is so. It's just standardized. It's kind of like big box movies. We've got the McDonald's of film.
The whole world is like that. I just watched that soccer game the other night with the women that won. And they won, and the celebration that happened afterwards was completely choreographed. There was not a real thing happening. I felt so bad for the women on the team.
Yeah, because then they're put in a position where they've got to play up these certain emotions and act a certain way.
It's rehearsed. It's all been rehearsed, and choreographed, and it's all been set up, and it's just so stupid. There's not a moment in life anymore that you see anywhere that's in media that's really sort of authentic. It's crazy. It was really sad to watch.
How do you feel? Here you are. You're kind of getting further and further into this world where it's like that. How does that impact you as actor, director, writer in your own work?
It doesn't change my work. It's just sort of hard to sell stuff or get people to go to see things that are sort of simple and human. I don't know. Everything's got to have, all this shit attached to it to make people even notice it or consider going to see it. So
that being said, can you tell us about the shape of something squashed? Because it sounds very interesting, and I believe it's just from reading it. It seems like it might be semi-autobiographical, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know. What happened is I was trying to write a play last year. I write plays. I have a theater in New York, and I make movies. I don't know if people out there know I make movies. I have a Vimeo page where, I won Sundance in 1994, Best Film and Best Screenplay. My movies have won Spirit Awards, but who cares?
Well, what happened was awesome. I did see that, and it's amazing.
And there's another version of it now on my Vimeo page, the original, based on the play.
All right.
Same two people, which I'm one. So I was trying to write a play, and I was trying to think of things, I was trying to think of something to hang on to start the script. And one day I got a call from my agent, and the agent says, Jennifer Lawrence is in town next week, and she wants to read with you. They want to work on scenes from Hunger Games. And I thought, wow, I like her, and these movies are sort of silly, but, she's good. So I said, okay, and they said, well, we're going to send the material over. So they sent me all this script stuff, and I looked at it a little bit, which is not a lot. And then they started arranging the dates when I was going to meet with her and hang out. And I did take a look at the script, and I noticed that the lines that they wanted me to say were lines that were the character that Donald Sutherland plays.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my agent up, and I said, I'm confused. Why am I reading Donald Sutherland's part? And they said, oh, he really wanted to be there, but he couldn't because he's got, God knows what he had to do. He had to christen his yacht or something. So he couldn't be there. So they're looking for somebody. I love Donald Sutherland. I actually know him a little. he can't be there, so they wanted somebody, and they thought you'd be like a nice stand-in.
Oh, awesome.
And I said, are you fucking kidding me? For now 3 or 4 days, you've been sending this material to me, acting like it's a job, and then I'm going to be in Hunger Games, and now I'm finding out I'm a fucking stand-in? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, fuck you, and tell them they can fuck themselves. And I can't, And I got sort of pissed off, and then I got down for a couple days, which is rare for me. And my then wife said to me, you're trying to think of something to write about. You should write about that. You seem so upset about it. So I wrote a story. I wrote the story about a guy who shows up at an audition. This guy's never really worked. He's been around for years and decades working in New York as an actor, and he's never really had a job of any consequence. And he gets invited to this fancy Dan theater company to read the script with these well-known actors. And he thinks that they're really considering him to play the part. And he's really only there because the guy they really want is sort of a lunatic, and they never know whether he's going to show up or not, so they want someone to stand by. And that's the story, which is sort of like what happened with this Jennifer Lawrence thing. Mm-hmm. And it's just really sad. Someone who's waited decades to get a shot, and he gets the shot and then finds out it didn't fucking matter at all. And that's sort of the story. But it's funny.
But it's sad. It is very sad.
Well, you'd have to see it, but it is. That's on Vimeo.
What's the Vimeo
So what do
page?
they do? Look up Tom Noonan on Vimeo, and they'll just find it?
I think you go to vimeo.com/Tom Noonan. Did I lose you?
No, you're here.
I just heard this beep, beep, beep thing. You go to vimeo.com/Tom Noonan, one word, and it takes you to my page where it lists stuff. And there's a list of VOD, like video on demand, and you click on one of them, and you pay $4.99, and you get to see my humble offerings. I think there are 4 or 5 movies up there now.
Mm-hmm. Which were some of the ones you'd like people to seek out?
Well, What Happened Was is pretty good, and there are 2 versions there, but the main one, the one in 35 millimeters, is a pretty good movie. That's the one that won Sundance and all that. There's a movie called Wifey, which was the movie I made right after that also went to Sundance and was named one of the top 10 movies of '96 by the San Francisco Chronicle. Then there's Shape Something Squashed. And what else is there? Oh, there's a movie coming up there soon called Wang Dang. That's a movie that I made in 2000 that I think is still irretrievably terrible, but somebody offered to re-edit it for me, which I don't. I've always edited everything I do, and I couldn't. There's somebody working on that. That'll be up there in about a month.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of worrisome for you that someone else is editing this and then you're going to be seeing it and it's not totally yours?
No.
If you know anything by that?
I edited this for almost 3 years, so I know every possible way you could edit it. And this guy is talented, and I'm thinking, well, maybe he'll come up with some way of making it, he's basically taking big swaths of what I did and sort of reordering it. He's not editing it from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Has that ever come up, though, in another movie like you've acted in, where you think either you nailed it or whatever, and through editing you think they really missed your performance or what you were going for?
Sometimes. I don't see a lot of the stuff I do. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I have a very good memory when I'm acting of what I did and what it should look like. And sometimes they'll cut away. I know they'll cut away before something I know is really cool that I did, but again, I don't see the shit so much. And, when you do that kind of thing, you sort of take the money and let them do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
You don't try to take it too personally because it's not going to get you anywhere. Mm-hmm. Michael Mann was cool, though. I went to see a screening of that. I've only seen that movie once or twice, and I went to a screening of it. I looped maybe one day, and he was there. And they did the scene where I got Lowndes in the chair, and he's, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a cut to some shot, and I said, Michael, there's a much better shot there for me if you want to look at it. And he was really cool, and he wrote down the shot, which I remembered really well, and I remember also the lens size often from shooting. And he went and changed the cut. Mm. But again, that's very, very, very unusual. Michael was a very unusual guy.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a question about that scene. Who decided to have the nylon on your head? Because I think that's very effective. I recently meant. What's that?
Isn't that in the book or something? Or isn't it?
I'm not sure if the nylon on the head is in the book. It's been a long time since I've read it.
You have a stocking on his head?
I don't. I can't. I don't. I don't know if he has any. Well, I guess he has to have something because then he does the big reveal. But
yeah,
it's
I mean,
not
I
as
don't
memorable
know
for
whose
some
idea it
reason.
was, and those are the kind of questions I don't ask. I mean, when
Yeah,
I'm doing a
you just
movie,
do
if
it.
something doesn't make any sense, I'm all for it. The words make no sense. I can't wait to say them. I never ask questions. I never,
uh, there's
it's not helpful.
in Manhunter there really isn't much background given to Francis, and do you think that makes him more interesting?
I mean, background's stupid. All that. I mean, a movie has nothing to do with story. A movie has nothing to do with backstory. All that stuff is bullshit. All a movie. The only part of a movie that's really powerful is the interaction between human beings on screen that's compelling. It doesn't even matter what they're saying. The script is really sort of inconsequential in a lot of ways. Even though I'm a screenwriter, that's it's the actor you're looking at. You're seeing a fucking human being in front of you who touches you. So it doesn't matter to me whether they give me background or not, or I don't care.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I haven't thought about it like that before, because if you watch a movie that has this theoretically amazing script and the actors don't connect and there's no chemistry, then the movie is totally dead.
Yeah. It's like going out with somebody who looks really pretty and has a nice job, and she's got all the things you think you need, but you're not turned on. That's what it's like going to a movie that's no good. And most movies are like that. All they care about is the explosions, the cars, the actors, the trailer, all the shit that has nothing to do with anything.
What are some films that really stand out for you as good films?
Ikiru, Ikiru by Kurosawa. The Conversation by Francis Ford Coppola. Mon Oncle d'Amérique. It's a French movie. Beau-Père, another French movie that's wonderful. Bergman. I mean, there's stuff that I see recently. It's hard to remember. I have a list of like 400 films that I keep adding to that I love. I just saw The Man with the Gray Flannel Suit, which is a very flawed, weird movie from the 50s, but it's great. Gilda. You ever seen Gilda?
I don't think so. No.
I teach, I hate to say the word I teach, but I'm a professor at a lot of colleges and shit, and I deal with a lot of young people. It's amazing. They've never seen much of anything. Gilda is this incredible movie with Glenn Ford and Rita Hayworth. It's a film noir. It's just incredibly beautiful and wonderful and crazy. It's just great.
So of those films, do you think that's the one to start with?
No. I mean, there's not a heart in it. It's really mean and scary. Ikiru is great. I mean, you can't beat that. The Godfather's amazing. Coppola made 2 or 3 amazing movies. I like True Detective. I like Derek with Ricky Gervais.
True Detective, the TV show, is amazing.
The first season. I'm not going to watch the second season.
Season 2 is a big letdown.
Well, we expected that, didn't we?
Yeah, it's pretty much impossible to follow season 1.
Yeah, but Derek with Ricky Gervais is really good, and I don't know. There's stuff that's really wonderful, but there's just so much stuff out there that's not, and all these historically wonderful movies that people just don't watch. Even I taught at NYU for 3 years, and people's film vocabulary is really piss poor. They've not seen a lot of shit. People don't know who Anna Magnani is.
I have to say that's a nice thing about talking with someone like yourself, is that you have that experience. So it's nice for me personally, because I don't have a lot of film people all around me that I talk with regularly. It's kind of just like a bunch of normal people. So being able to talk with someone who's a professional, who has this experience and has seen a lot of stuff, I think it's helpful for us. And I think it's helpful for the people that listen to the show, because I think there's a lot of people out there that don't have that kind of exposure.
There's just so many beautiful movies. I mean, and it's not going to me being a professional. I just love movies. I just love watching them. I mean, I watch, Women in Love. This movie by, what's his name? But Women in Love is one of the great, great movies. 1970, I think it's 69 or 71, British movie. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Nobody's seen it. You talk about it. It's really strange. It's like being in a foreign, like you've gone to another planet, and you have all these beautiful things that you want to tell people about where you came from. Nobody wants to hear about it. And it has
Do you
nothing
like
to do-
Harold? Oh, go ahead.
It has nothing to do with being a professional either, which I hardly think of myself as, but it's just that I love movies and I watch them. I watch everything. It's what's great about all the streaming stuff. I watch like a movie every day or a couple, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like Harold and Maude?
Yeah. I mean, I loved it when I was, 23.
Mm-hmm.
I still like it. It's good. I mean, he's a wonderful director. Hal Ashby made some great movies. Shampoo is fucking amazing. I mean, Shampoo's in another league from Harold and Maude. It's just an incredibly great movie.
You mentioned True Detective and Derek. Do you think you said you might not like a lot of recent movies, but what do you think about recent TV shows? Of course, there's some that's crap, but there's a lot of
most of the good
really
stuff that I see is TV things. You know, I mean, Breaking Bad is really good, and Mad Men I love. I think is a work of art.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes misses, but I think it's in a lot of ways a work of genius. House of Cards is really good.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of really good stuff happening. I did a show called Damages, which I thought was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed doing it. I'm trying to think what else. There's just most of the good stuff I see is on TV now or is on cable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The features, the feature business to me is, I don't even know what it is. I don't know. It doesn't seem to exist. And I know we all love Louis C.K.
Yeah, I was going to ask how that came about. How it came about you being on Louis.
Sorry, how what?
How did that come about? You being on Louis? Was it something he wanted, or?
I knew Louis just as an artist for a couple of years before that. I saw a routine of his on an airplane once and thought, shit, man, this guy's great.
Uh-huh.
And I just got a call from my agent saying, Louis C.K.'s got a TV show and he wants you to be in this thing. And I said, okay. And, they shoot very quickly, so I had to learn the words really well, and we shot that whole thing, my whole side of it, in like a couple hours.
Yeah.
2 or 3 takes, and he's really easy to work with, really smart. He's real open to, I did it very differently than the way it was sort of written, and the costume was not, I wore something very different than they'd wanted me to wear, and I sort of wanted to look like William Burroughs. That's what it sort of reminded me of.
It's a very memorable episode.
Well, it means a lot to me. As a child, I lived through that. I was a Catholic, and every Good Friday we would get on our knees in our classroom, and we'd read a book. We'd take turns reading a book called The Physiology of the Death of Christ on the Crucifix. So a lot of what he has in that story that I say is stuff, generally that I knew really well. I know the whole autopsy of Christ because we did it since I was like in 3rd grade until I was a senior in high school.
Wow.
And it's serious stuff. It's not, it's not a joke, that shit.
No, it sounds pretty brutal. I know people who have come from Catholic Church, but I've never heard of anything that extreme. Maybe they don't talk about it. It's like going to war.
If you go to a Catholic school, most people in my generation went through that.
Yeah, wow.
And those kids were good. It was fun to work, and I love Louis. I just think he's so talented and so wonderful and such a, I don't know. I just feel lucky that he's around.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always been a big fan of his too. There's a DVD he used to sell when he was a writer on Conan O'Brien's show, and he would just plug it every once in a while. He'd be on Conan's show, and now he's really popular and stuff. But I bought that years ago just because I always thought he was so funny. Just before really anyone talked about him.
And he works really, really hard, and he sort of found a way to sell stuff directly to people, and he doesn't have to deal with a lot of shit. It's really wonderful.
Yeah,
he's pretty plain spoken from what he seems from his comedy routine.
Yeah, he's great. I like him, love him.
Mm-hmm. I know he did a thing where he did the stand-up right off his website, and he was selling for like $5.
Yeah. I've gotten the last couple of concerts he's done off his site.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and still people will still pirate it and put it, even though it's only $5.
Will you actually talk about that a little bit? Because I know it's a huge problem where people could just get things so easily. They can just go to websites and download whatever. How big of a problem is that for independent people? Because I think just a lot of people are undereducated and don't get it.
Nobody knows who I am. Nobody gives a shit about what I do. No one's going to go through the process of pirating anything I do. Not any of my movies. The people that sort of dig my stuff probably appreciate that I spent all my own money on the movie, and most people just buy it. I don't think pirating is more of a problem for Game of Thrones, not for me. And if someone stole my shit, I wouldn't care. It'd be really great that they watch it. I don't.
So everybody out there listening, go get it.
Go get it.
I mean, that makes sense because then if they see it and you're not really worried about it, they might as well watch it and hopefully enjoy it and get something out of it.
And for $4.99, you can watch it on Vimeo. So I mean, it's not a huge deal to spend $5 to watch something that somebody spent their own money on and did all the stuff. But whatever.
Someone actually sent me a link once that our podcast was on a torrent site, which I thought was funny because the show's totally free anyway. But
yeah.
But I guess they just feel better. It's like
it's also weird. I mean, like a sporting event's on NBC, and you can't. And if you're out of town, you can't go to an NBC website and watch the thing, even though the commercial's there. Why don't? It's just this weird sort of added. I don't understand a lot of the strategies these companies use.
Mm-hmm.
If they made stuff cheap, people would pay.
Yeah.
If they weren't gouging the shit out of people for the last 200 years or 500 years or 1,000 years, people wouldn't be pissed off and be stealing it.
Right.
It's just, show business is a stupid industry and dumber than most and, based on very little anything human.
And it does seem like they're kind of driving entertainment to be more and more, I don't know if elite is quite the appropriate word, but concerts, music, live stuff. The regular average person who wants to go to something like that maybe can't go, which is a real shame because I think a lot of people would want to go to live things, plays, all that stuff. It's, you're getting into $50 to $100 or more to go to see something, and a lot of people are just going to stay at home and watch TV.
Yeah, most things suck anyway. I mean, my plays are $20 to come see, and if people
speaking of which,
if you want to see something decent, they'll find it. It's just I don't think people give a shit anymore. I mean, I don't think people care whether what they're watching is good or bad. If they did, they would know about these good movies and understand and be able to talk about them. But nobody cares.
So you mentioned your theater. Do you want to tell us what it's called, where it is, what kind of productions are going on right now, or where they can get more information about that?
It's called the Paradise Factory, and there's a Facebook page called Tom Noonan's Paradise Factory, or you can go to Paradise Factory and you'll go there. And there's nothing on right now that I'm involved in. It's been a few months since I produced anything there because I have to sometimes rent the space in order to make enough money to keep the place going.
Mm-hmm.
But on that site, on that page, it lists what's coming up and has clips of things we've done and talks about, the Shape Sling Squash and the movie and where you can see it. And I should be better at this, but since I do it all myself, it's sort of hard to keep up with all that. But you can follow it through the Facebook page.
Yeah, there's also a website, paradisefactory.org.
Yeah, and there's tomnoonan.com, which is mostly just movie clips that I use to try to get people in Hollywood to hire me.
Yeah. Are you aware of the Tom Noonan Reddit page?
You mean
me,
Tom Noonan?
Yeah, there's a whole Reddit page that's just devoted to you.
I think someone told me that once and said that it's sort of interesting.
Yeah, there's a constitution and there's amendments. It's like really, it's really detailed stuff. I don't know.
Who runs this thing? What do you think? I mean,
I don't know. And then I was looking at it earlier, and there was like someone had a theory that you were a reptilian.
Oh.
And but most people, well, I don't know. He might like you too. I don't know. But most people, it's just talking about how great you are.
Oh, well.
How can you not be great coming straight from the center of the earth?
Exactly.
That's right.
They even had like up close clips of your eye from different things that were like as proof that you were a reptilian.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So it wasn't like just someone just like, hey, he's a reptilian. I mean, they took the time. Yeah.
Wow. I should go look.
Yeah. Well, we'll put the link up for it up on the website too.
I also got a movie. I got a movie coming out with Charlie Kaufman, who I work with a lot, called Anomalisa. It's a play that he wrote for me and Jennifer Jason Leigh and don't tell me I forgot his name. Oh, fuck me. David Thewlis. You know David Thewlis from Harry Potter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He wrote a play for us. We did it 6-7 years ago, and then he did it's an animated film that should be coming out soon. It's very wonderful.
How do you spell this? The beginning part. Lisa is obviously Lisa.
Anama, like anomaly. A-N-O-M. Anomalisa.
Oh, cool. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's supposed to be going to festivals now. I don't know. I haven't heard from Charlie. Charlie's sort of a good friend, but I haven't talked to him in a while. So.
Now, you said I assume you've always loved movies. You said you love movies. Was there any particular movies you remember, like, when you were growing up that made you want to be an actor?
I never wanted to be an actor. I only started being an actor when I was 28.
Okay.
And it was sort of reluctantly, but I knew I was good at it from a lot of experiences I had sort of doing public things. I love Loneliness of a Long-Distance Runner. 30 Seconds Over Tokyo I loved. The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
East of Eden. I remember seeing that when I was like 12, and it made me cry and cry. The L-Shaped Room I saw when I was young. The Pawnbroker. Has anybody seen The Pawnbroker?
I have not.
This is a crime. I mean, Pawnbroker is one of the greatest fucking performances in a movie. It's Sidney Lumet. I mean, it's Rod Steiger. It's this incredible movie. I was Catholic, and there's a thing called the Legion of Decency when I was a kid, which forbade that you see certain movies or it was a mortal sin and you'd go to hell.
Ow.
So, like, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, I didn't get to see it till I was like 15. But that was considered a mortal sin to watch that movie.
Wow.
But that movie blew my mind. I just, One Touch of Venus. It's a really dumb movie. Mr. So-and-so's Mermaid. What's that movie? You know that movie with Anne Blythe?
No.
Oh, what's his name? It's like Ronald Colman plays this guy who's going through a midlife crisis, and he goes fishing, and he pulls in this fish, and it turns out to be Anne Blythe, who's just beautiful. She plays Joan Crawford's daughter and Mildred Pierce. He pulls this mermaid into the boat, and he brings the mermaid back to his house where he's married to some great actress, and their marriage is sort of dead, and he puts this mermaid in a bathtub. And it's sort of a comedy, but it's really, really sad. It's all about, your relationship's dying and you're getting older and life meaning nothing. And it's a wonderful movie. What else did I see? I mean, I watched everything. Mm-hmm. My parents bought a TV set about a month after I was born and put me in front of it. So I watched Hopalong Cassidy and Buck Rogers and watched, all these TV shows in the 50s and just watched TV a lot. Oh, another great movie is Yankee Doodle Dandy with Jimmy Cagney playing George M. Cohan.
Uh-huh.
Which nobody's seen. I mean, it's just this amazing, amazing movie.
I feel like you should send us this list of movies, and we should do homework.
Just
and
go down.
We'll watch it. Right?
Yeah, I even forget because I watch so many things that I make little lists, and then I can't find the lists, and I can't add them to the main list that I have of like 400 things. There's another great movie called Last Summer with Barbara Hershey that nobody's ever seen. That's just amazing. Directed by Frank Perry, who's married to Eleanor Perry, a wonderful writer. She died, and then his career went down the drain because he was a terrible writer. But he made Mommy Dearest, which is a bad movie.
Oh, yeah. But it's something everybody's heard of.
Everybody's seen it, but this movie he directed, and it's wonderful.
Sounds
really
sounds like it's exciting for you though when you do find something that you really like.
Fuck yeah! I mean, you find an actor you've never seen before, like Bill Nighy, I just found like a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, where the fuck this guy been? This guy's amazing, and I watched like everything he'd ever been in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through that, and you find somebody else you've never seen, and then you find a director, and it's just movies are amazing. It's They should just cut my head off and put it in front of a screen and let me live till I'm 500. Let me watch movies.
No, I didn't want to ask about Ty West because he's a younger director who a lot of people enjoy his movies. What was it like working for him, and what did you think of House of the Devil?
Well, I did this thing called The Roost for him first.
Okay.
Where he took me to a fun house he used to go to when he was a child and had me play this horror host that they cut into this film, which I have to sorrily admit I've never seen. Mm-hmm. So I got to know him through that. He was like, I don't know, 21 or 22 or something when I did that. And he just seemed real serious, and he knew what he's doing and knew what he wanted, and it was easy and fun. And then they did the House of the Devil, which I didn't really, I didn't read the script too much except my part, which is what I do. But I remember having a lot of fun shooting. And then I went to the screening of it, which I rarely ever do. I don't go to like openings or premieres or stuff too much. I rarely, almost never do that. And having not seen the movie, I started watching it, and it was really scary. And I wanted to leave because it really was annoying me how scary it was. But I couldn't because it was this press screening. So I thought it was a pretty scary movie. I thought
really
it was ballsy that woman wanders around for like an hour in the middle of the film by herself.
Yeah.
It's so entertaining. But then I've never done anything with him again, and he does these things, and I'm thinking, Ty, what the fuck,
Yeah.
Hire me, man. I can do something different a little bit.
Yeah.
I can put on a hat or something.
You wear hats very well.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So it was fun to do, and and I got to work. I mean, what's her name? Mary.
She's Anita Raoul, and
Yeah. She's amazing. She was such a trip to act with.
I hosted a panel with her on too. She was great.
She's a force of nature. She's a trip.
Yes, I remember it was someone else for the panel that was supposed to be on the panel. They were late, and she was not very happy.
No, she gets not unhappy pretty quick. I said, Mary, what's the problem? Mary, calm down. Fuck you. Okay, Mary, okay. Fuck you. Okay.
But yeah, she was great. She's great in that movie. I really enjoyed the movie. That was I think that was like kind of a gem of horror movies in the last.
It's pretty good. Yeah. It's scary. I mean, I like the paranormal movies. I have to admit.
Like Paranormal Activity or.
The first one, the Paranormal Activity. The first one is really, really wonderful. I've seen it like 5 times. Because I've gone back and you first see it, you think, oh, they just slapped this together, and it's sort of scary because it seems like it's a whole movie, but it's really, really well put together, very skillful and very artfully done. And the actors are real, even though they're trying not. Their acting is really good. So I like that one. I've seen like 5 of them now. Yeah,
there's a bunch. There's I think there's 5 of them. Yeah.
And the Japanese, which movies? There were a lot of those are wonderful. That are based,
like Ringu,
like Tomei and Ringu, and
yeah. But what's the one with the thing with the little kid under the bed with the white face?
Yeah, Ju-on.
Is that what it's called in America?
Yeah. No, it's called The Grudge in America.
The Grudge, yes.
Yeah.
My daughter, who's now grown up, but she used to want to watch it, but she wouldn't watch it unless I was there, and she would just start screaming, like just screaming and shrieking, and it was really scary. It was scary. The movie was scary, and her screaming, but she needed me to be there, so she didn't get, it was. That was a real experience.
Yeah, I remember seeing that alone in college, and I had a single dorm, and I kept the light on for about a month.
I mean, I think it's important. Like who cares about what I think, but I spent a lot of time, when I had kids.
Yeah.
The great thing about having children is you can show them the things that you watched when you were growing up that you loved and watch them love them. It's like you get to see them all over again through somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think parents should show their kids things they loved. I mean, I showed my kids every episode of Seinfeld because they're about at the age they were old. They were old by the time it was all in reruns. Every episode of The Simpsons and all this stuff. Like I showed them every Hitchcock movie when they were like 6. Except for Frenzy or maybe. And it's a great education that I don't think people do that. I mean, anything,
My mom was very.
I think it's really important to share with your kids things you love like that.
Yeah, my mom's very similar with movies and whatnot. Because when I remember going to the drive-in since I can remember.
I just think parents should show their kids things that they grew up loving. Like you should show your kids movies you loved, and it's such a great thing to share with somebody that you love. It's just the movies. I don't know. I love movies, so
yeah.
And I was just saying, I showed them when my kids were 6 and 7 or 8 years old. I showed them every Hitchcock movie. Went through every one that he ever made, except for the really sort of gruesome ones. And I showed them every episode of Seinfeld of like 10 years. We used to watch every night. And when they finished their homework, we would watch 2 or 3 episodes of Seinfeld. Every episode of The Simpsons, like 20 years of it.
Did they ever say, Dad, can we please watch something else? Or were they pretty open to it?
No, I mean,
comfortable?
it was sort of like a routine that we did. They sort of trusted that stuff I showed them would be cool. There were things they didn't love. I mean, my daughter sometimes still says to me, you showed us a lot of really inappropriate stuff. I said, well, come on.
Yeah.
People are very politically correct today.
When I was a kid, ever since I was like 6, or as far as I can remember, my mom always showed me all the movies she loved too, like the Godfather films and.
Yeah, that's what you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be amazed how many people have never seen The Godfather, they've never seen Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy.
And I don't have any kids or anything, but there is something fun about sharing something that you love with someone else. Even if it's not your kid, if it's a friend of yours.
Yeah, that's what life's about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things when I met Neil. He's from Cape Cod, and I'm in Boston, so being able to say, come to Boston and see, there's a lot going on. There's still some cultural things. There's movie houses. There's a lot of stuff to do, and having him appreciate that and enjoy it it's. I know it's not quite the same as having a kid, but still being able to see someone.
You love somebody, you love them. I mean, and you share something. That's life. That's the greatest thing about being a person.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I lived in Boston for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whereabouts in Boston were you?
Very sad period of my life. I lived in a commune in Jamaica Plain for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I lived in the Piano Craft Guild building, which is in the corner of Tremont and Mass Ave.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's an artist co-op. I also lived in the South End for a while. I lived there for 4 or 5 years often. I lived in Back Bay.
South End is pretty nice.
I was a guitar player and a musician then.
Nice. How long ago was that? Or how old were you when that happened? When you were there?
I was probably in my early 20s. I was sort of mentally ill and had dropped out of college and was really suffering and sort of living in a little tiny room. And finally
Have
got
you been
help
back?
And I go back once in a while. I teach a lot.
Yeah.
Or go and talk a lot. So for a while I used to talk every year at BU through Ray Carney. I don't know if you know who Ray Carney is.
Mm-hmm.
Famous independent film,
Mm-hmm.
He says I'm the greatest living American director. I teach at Harvard sometimes. I taught at Yale, but I go up to Boston once in a while. I have some old friend there, a guy I play basketball with.
Oh, nice.
What do you think about it? Because I know it's different. Yeah.
It's sort of different, but I'm there for such a short time. It's hard to really tell.
Yeah.
I remember once when I was really, really crazy, I went out. It was really hot in my apartment. I lived on St. Stephen Street, which is back behind the Symphony Hall.
Mm-hmm.
It was really terribly, terribly hot. It was like 2 a.m, and they just put in a reflecting pond at the Mary Baker Eddy Center.
Yeah.
I went in there and started swimming.
This isn't the big giant long one by the Christian Science building.
Yeah. It's like 100 yards long. And all these kids in the neighborhood were up because it was so hot. It was during a heat wave. They all got into the thing with me. And it's me and like 25 kids swimming. And then all those like the SWAT teams, which back then Boston was famous for. Boston had such bad police brutality back in the 70s.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
I heard about the design of City Hall was made to deal with potential problems with people coming in there and taking over City Hall. So they made it so they could lock it down really fast.
The Cambridge police were terrible. There was a guy named Larry Largy.
Yeah.
I remember this guy's name, who was murdered by like today, it happens all the time. But back then, people were complaining, but they killed this guy. They put him in the back of a paddy wagon and just beat him the fuck to death because they felt like it. And it happened all the time. So I was sort of scared because when the paddy wagon showed up, I luckily got away, but that's sort of I lived down there a lot for a while.
Yeah, we
used to hang out at Northeastern, and they used to hang out at the conservatory there. Not Berkeley. I used to hang out at Berkeley, but there's Northeastern School. There's a music school over on Huntington.
Yeah.
Not far from Symphony Hall. I like Boston.
Yeah,
Boston's sort of the minor leagues. People get it together and then they come to New York.
We'll be
it's
going.
Not a real, I mean, it's not a real place.
When you what happened was, and then I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Synecdoche, New York?
Synecdoche.
That's it. Seeing both those
supposed
movies.
To rhyme with Schenectady.
Ah, gotcha. But those really, to me, I was watching these thinking, man, Boston, it's a city, yeah, but I feel like there's a lot of, it's easy to make connections there, personally. And New York seems kind of overwhelming in that it would be so easy to be very lonely.
I mean, people come to New York to fucking make it, and it's either make it or die. When you live in Boston, it's sort of like, yeah, let's go to the movies and have fun and meet some girl. I mean, it was more human and sort of not so crazy. New York's scary. It's crazy here.
Yeah.
It's very hard. So many ambitious people and so many frustrated people, and it's also the most amazing place in the world. But
we'll be going to New York in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Hunter.
Yeah, there's an actor he's a professional sculptor now, but he runs a program in the Catskills where you can go and he teaches you how to carve stone, and it's 100% free. He's got all the tools. He's
Where
got
in the Catskills? I have a house in the Catskills.
Hunter, New York?
Oh, that must be north. I know where that is. That's Hunter Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
It's
I know where that is.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful. Yeah. He's got power tools. He's got tiny chisels, and I'm artistic. Neil is not so artistic, but he'll spend as much time with you. It doesn't matter who you are. His name's Kevin Van Henrik. He's just got an amazing personality. He's a wonderful teacher.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
send me something about this.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because when we went, I really thought Annabelle would have a great time because, like she said, she's very artistic, and I thought, I'll go along and I'll film stuff. But I had a great time too. So.
Yeah, that was one of those things where, like we were talking about, sharing something with somewhere where he was really, he was almost like didn't want to go at all, and was sort of, I'm sorry, he was a little bit pouty about it. And then I said, you've got to do this for the show because people look to you to see that they can go out in the world and do stuff. And he ended up having an amazing time, and then going, it's a wonderful feeling because here's this guy who thinks he can't do it. And then he could. It was great.
That's
great. Yeah, definitely send you information about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a ways from where I am, but it's not. And I was a sculpture major in college, so it'd be fun for you to.
Oh, nice.
What kind of stuff did you do? What was your medium to work in?
I mean, I'd gone to Catholic school where they never had art, so I went to college. I'd never done an art class in my life. Mm-hmm. And I was just good three-dimensionally. When I was in the Boy Scouts, I used to whittle like sticks, like make little totems. Mm-hmm. So I did a lot of life study. I was just good three-dimensionally. But, it's nice that someone's doing something like that.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. He does it every year. I'm not sure how many years he's been running it.
Well, I should probably go back to the real world here.
Yeah.
Why?
I got to practice, man. I practice every day.
Play
music,
Oh, I thought you meant just practice. You practice being in the real world every day, but I.
No, I practice piano. I get up and practice every day for a couple hours.
Oh, awesome.
Nice. You said you played guitar. How long have you been doing piano for?
Since I was about 7.
Oh wow! So you were probably pretty good.
No, I'm no good, but I can write good. I write. I'm a pretty good writer of music, but and there's stuff online. But some other time you can send me an email. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, cool.
I have a bunch of albums online that nobody's ever heard.
We'll play them on the show.
Some
if you want.
people will hear it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, you guys are sweet.
Cool.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, well, take care and be safe.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we'll come see you play in New York sometime soon.
Yeah. I'll let you know. Go to the site,
Cool. All right.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is Kevin Pollak, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. But I guess you knew that, didn't you? Unless, of course, you lost your head.